Welcome back. The market is not looking good, but there are several corporates that have reported decent numbers. At least the monthly sales were looking good for a couple of spaces like commercial vehicles, and we have that on our radar now. Volvo Eicher reported very strong sales in the month of February. Total sales went up 24% versus last year, with over 7,000 units sold for the third straight month now. The management has previously indicated that they are expecting to see double-digit growth this year. But commercial vehicle margins have been under pressure because of higher discounts. We're now joined by Vinod Agarwal, who's the MD and CEO of Volvo Eicher Commercial Vehicles. He is going to give us an update on what's happening with the business. Mr. Agarwal, good morning. Always great speaking with you. I wanted to start by asking you if you can just set the context for us how demand momentum has been. Because I noticed in your trend, now for 3 months running, you've sold over 7,000 units in terms of wholesales. But how have the retail trends been? Have you seen a big recovery? And by the end of, say, FY23, even in FY24, for the industry itself, what are you forecasting in terms of growth?
I think let's talk about industry first. The recovery is in line with our expectations. CV industry, we had very clearly thought that after having 2-3 bad years, very worst, this year is going to be a better year, and it is in line with our expectations. And first 11 months, we have seen a growth of 42% in 3.5 ton and above industry. And of course, in some of the segments, we are going to touch the earlier peak of 2018-19. For example, in light and medium duty trucks, first 11 months, we have already reached 103,000 in the industry. The earlier peak was 117,000. So March, we are expecting around 15,000. So we will be at the earlier peak. Similarly, for light and medium duty buses, the earlier peak was 47,000 in 2018-19. This year, first 11 months, we have already touched 42,000, and we are expecting another 4,000-5,000 to come in March. So therefore, light and medium duty buses also will be at the earlier peak. As far as the heavy duty trucks are concerned, earlier peak was 295,000, and this year, first 11 months, we are at 213,000, and that will be still away from the earlier peak. Therefore, we are still overall lower than the earlier peak. Another concern in the industry is overseas market. Overseas markets have dropped significantly this year. The exports out of the country for first 11 months has gone down by 21%. And overall, still it is down by 40% from the earlier peak of 18-19. So therefore, the concern is there in exports. Heavy duty trucks, we are still expecting more growth to come in. Light and medium duty trucks and light and medium duty buses, we have almost earlier peak numbers. Now this leads
to... Sir, sorry, just a quick question, because you're talking about how growth has returned. Have you been able to gain more market share compared to what you already reported? In Q3, you spoke about how now you have more than 8% in both Eicher and Volvo trucks. That's overall, right? Can you just break it up for us? Have you been able to gain market share? In the buses segment, has your market share gone up? Of course, we'll talk about bus in greater detail later. But first, on the market share front?
Market share, we have gained. In heavy-duty trucks, last year our market share was around 6.5%. Now this year we are at 8%, which includes 7.5% coming from Eicher brand and around 0.5% coming from Volvo brand. So overall we are at 8% market share, 8% plus market share in heavy-duty trucks. As far as buses are concerned, buses we have gained significant market share this year. In light and medium duty buses, we are at almost 26% market share, and in heavy duty buses we are at around 11 or 12% market share. So overall, in buses we have a market share of now around 22 or 23%, and which is much higher than the previous years. So we have gained the market share in heavy duty trucks, in buses, and in light and medium duty trucks we are continuing at around 31%. So therefore, I think overall we are doing relatively better as compared to the industry.
Okay, Mr. Agrawal, just a question. I don't want to sort of, burst the bubble, so to speak. But is this because of a lot of pre-buying? This huge momentum that we're seeing in January and February, as you described. because there are these new emission norms that are coming in, and perhaps that will impact pricing. To what extent would you attribute this to pre-buying, and your overall thoughts on how this perhaps will impact numbers for March, April?
Okay, let me give you the details on the these emission norms. First of all, emission standards remain the same from 1/4/2023. This is only the change in the monitoring of the emission norms. As far as the emissions which are there in BS6, they remain same even in the 1/4/2023 also. Earlier, the emissions were, complied at the test bed or the factory stage. Now, under the new norms from 1/4/2023, these emissions have to be complied with in the field. The OEMs have to give the warranty that these emissions will be same in the field, in the tailpipe emissions, for 7 years for heavy duty trucks and for 6 years for light duty trucks. So therefore, the regulatory agencies can pick up any truck from the field, and they will check that are these trucks meeting the emission standards or not. And if they don't meet the emission standards, of course, the companies will have to face the consequences. So therefore,
so it's not impacting pricing? So are you saying that
it will impact the pricing, not to that extent. Therefore, I am not seeing that this recovery which is there, it is because of the pre-buying. Because as I told the figures, we are still away from the earlier peak. So industry is only going towards the earlier peak, which was expected. And I am expecting that this growth should continue next year also, because there is still a lot of room for growth. That is number one. Number two.
Sure. We got that. We know we got the growth numbers. For paucity of time, just wanted to move on and talk about one concern that the street has had with respect to the electric space, because there's lots happening there. So many STUs are giving out tenders. The likes of Electra, Greentech, JBM Auto are companies that are getting a lot of orders in the e-bus space. But correct me if I'm wrong, Eicher is struggling on that front. Have you received any orders in the electric space yet? And what is the...
We are not struggling. It's a conscious call. We have not participated in the last tender because right now the tender conditions are very, very draconian. We do not become to finance the STUs for next 12 years. STUs who are not getting any funding from anyone, the OEMs cannot be expected to fund the STUs for 12 years.
So what is your target in terms of growth? If you're saying that the measures are very draconian by STUs, are you not going to participate at all in any of these tenders in future?
With the current
then how do you grow that segment?
No, we will grow in the private sector. The electric buses demand is not only STUs. Even the other companies also are becoming very conscious. Few other large companies also have not participated. So this current model of business, it is not going to work.
Okay, got that.
We have very clear buses. We have very clear strategy. So there is no question of struggling. We are doing very well. Whatever we are doing, it is a conscious call.
Got that. All right, Mr. Agrawal, we'll leave it on that note. Thank you very much for giving us some more perspective on your business, and have a great weekend. We look forward to chatting with you again. Well, with that, let's get to our next corporate conversation. And this is an important one because we are all preparing for a scorching summer. With temperatures rising sooner and higher than usual across the country, power generation in the months of January and February has seen a big jump. To discuss what this means for the power sector, for power demand and companies themselves, we have with us now Rajiv Kumar Vishnoi, Chairman and Managing Director at NHPC. Mr. Vishnoi, great to have you on the show. There's so much to talk about, including this mega project at Dibang. I mean, it's, I think, the country's largest hydro project. We'll get to Dibang in a bit. But first, the major headline. We all know that I think, we were hitting peak power demand in February itself this year compared to the peak we saw in May last year. That's been the extent of the rise. You tell us, how is NHPC looking at the coming months ahead in terms of generation? A lot of the focus obviously is on thermal power plants, imported coal, etc. But what will this massive surge in demand that we are anticipating, what will it mean for NHPC in the coming months?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning, and thank you for having me here on this show. as you know, that demand has been consistently rising for last almost 17, 18 months, demand of power. And we see in some of the months it has been rising at the rate of 10% also. Now, at the same time, we have been adding capacities also. The country has been adding capacity, and this is the reason we could fulfill all of this demand last year also. There was a great surge in demand, and we could satisfactorily fulfill this demand. This year also, we are expecting a very high surge in the demand, and we are all prepared for this. Government has been discussing for the last almost a couple of months, and seeing the particularly the jump in demand in the last 2 months, January and February, as you rightly mentioned. I think we need to be fully prepared, and that is exactly what we are doing. Hydropower projects, particularly from NHPC side, as you mentioned, we are all prepared because the water flow in the rivers has started increasing now. Snow has started melting. And these are the months like April, May, and June, when we'll be having more and more water flow. And of course, the monsoon months will be having a very high inflows in the river. We'll be contributing to the grid, as always, with a lot of green and clean power.
Mr. Vishnoi, sorry, I'm coming in over there because, we will be a little short on time. Can you give us a sense on how much your generation volumes might be better than last year? Because as you mentioned, that these will be critical months, as the summer season starts setting in.
Yeah, in terms of generation, we are expecting this year approximately 7 to 8% more because of the high inflows. Secondly, we are also trying to see that if we can store the seasonal flows, in order to generate more power during the high demand period. So that is another plan which we have at the site at the moment. Next is that regarding the on the larger scale, on the national scale, particularly if you see that the base power mostly in the country comes from the thermal side. So this year also, government has been preparing, to add more and more capacity in the base load and storing more and more coal from other CPSUs, like I am looking after the THDC also. There also we are having one thermal plant, and we have started storing coal, in order to generate more and more to fulfill this demand. I know this is a great challenge, but our country is now fully equipped at the moment to face this challenge. And this year, the way we have been planning at the government level, I think we don't see any major problem in fulfilling the demand.
Got that. Good morning, sir, and thanks so much for joining in on the show. I want to talk about two projects, the Parbati 2 and the Lower Subansiri. They were expected before FY24, right? But now I understand that Subansiri is being commissioned in the first quarter of FY25. Are there any further risks to these timelines that are giving out?
Yeah, this Subansiri is in the last stage of now getting completed, this project. And 2 units of this project will be commissioning, adding to the grid by the end of June this year. That will be towards the end of first quarter of FY24. And the subsequent every 3 months, we'll be adding 2 more units every 3 months. So we'll be completing the full capacity in next 1 year or 14 months time. Regarding the Parvati, the first 2 units will be commissioned in the last quarter of FY24. So in a way, these 2 projects will be completed in the coming year, and we'll be adding 2,800 megawatt capacity. That is huge as compared to the 7,100 megawatt capacity what we are operating at the moment currently in NHPC.
So this comes on stream, sir, by the first quarter of FY25.
FY24.
FY24 starts getting commissioned, but the entire chunk comes on stream by the end of FY24, right?
Yes, very true, very true.
So it will be fully available by quarter 1, FY25.
Yeah.
This 2,800 megawatt that you're talking about.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So that is a big capacity which will be adding now the kitty of the NHPC, this organization. And we'll be having more flexibility in offering the solutions to the grid. Because once we have large hydropower capacity, we can bundle it with the available renewable capacity, which is being added in plenty now from all the parts of the country.
Sure.
So we are looking
Mr.
at
Vishnoi, Sure. Apart from these two projects, Subansiri and Parvati, which will be getting commissioned and come through in the first quarter of FY25, any other projects that you're looking to commission anytime soon in the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, actually we are working on 5 more projects at the same time. Those 5 projects, other than these 2, will start getting commissioned starting from FY25, FY26, and 7. Almost every year we'll be adding 1 project. The way we are now, doing the construction of these projects. So that is one, and there are a couple of big projects like Savalkot and Diwan, as rightly mentioned, which we'll be taking up very shortly, and we are looking at these projects to commission before the year 2031.
So what will the total amount be of these 5 projects, and where does the solar CPSU project feature in that? What kind of timeline are we looking in for that?
The total capacity, other than these 2 projects, what I just mentioned, Subansiri and Parvati 2, which is 2,800 megawatt. If you include this also, we'll be adding 7,000 megawatt, which is under construction at the moment, in another 3 years' time. So we have currently 7,000. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Vishnoi, I just have a question. So we've got some idea about the capacity you're adding. I just want to confirm that number on generation volumes. I believe you said 7 to 8% higher. Now, was that for the 4th quarter? Is that an outlook for the next year? Give us an outlook on generation and a word on Dibang. I mean, this is a massive project at a massive, I think the total investments go up to about 34,000 odd crores. Just trying to understand NHPC's role in Dibang. How much money do you have to put in? What is the timeline of commissioning a project as big as this? And what's the revenue potential from Dibang?
See, the total cost of the project is around 34,000 crores, as you mentioned, and the capacity is 2,880 megawatt. So we'll be generating something like 15 to 17 billion units annually from this project alone, and which is quite huge. We'll be putting something like 10,000 crores of equity in a period of 8 years. So you can say that around 1,300 odd crores, 1,500 crores every year.
Mr. Vishnoi, just trying to understand, the total project cost is 34,000 crores. How much do you put in what stages? The potential is huge. By when do you see this commissioning? When do we start getting the returns in the books, basically?
We'll be starting construction this year only. In fact, from next month, next month. And the total construction period is 9 years. So the first unit will be commissioned after 9 years. So that we can say year 2032, we'll be commissioning the first unit. So other than the power generation, this has a lot of water storage component also. So this is a strategic project for the country, and very shortly we'll be starting this project.
Okay, couple of quick numbers. Got it. Couple of quick numbers, sir. Regulated equity you mentioned. I think the last time we chatted, you said that from around 13,000 crores, it goes to around 22,000 crores. Holding on to that number, that by FY24 end, we'll have regulated equity at around 22,000 crores?
Yeah, I missed your voice.
The regulated equity, sir. The regulated equity that you were briefly mentioned, that moves to 22,000 crores, right? In the next couple of years, that's by the end of FY24. From 13,000 crores, it will go to around 22,000 crores?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And also, what about the targets for FY25? I think the street was working with around 15,000 crores of revenues with 5,000 crores of net profit. Doable?
Yes. That is the outlook we are having for FY25.
15,000 crores on the top line, 5,000 crores on the bottom line for FY25. It's been good speaking to you. It's been good speaking to you, sir. Thanks so much for giving us your sense in terms of capacity addition, regulated equity, as well as your targets for FY25. On that note, though, we'll slip into a short break because the markets are trading sharply lower. Mitesh Thakkar will be waiting for us on the other side.
Well, the markets are completely down and out. That's the only way to put it. The Nifty is now at the lowest point, down about 200 points. Mitesh Thakkar is joining in to tell us how to approach the day. Mitesh, I don't think too many people saw this coming. Yes, a gap down was expected, but the kind of precipitous fall that we've seen just makes way perhaps for more caution through the course of the day. As we're heading into the rest of the day, what is your own view and what are the stocks that you'd buy or sell even now?
So one, I think, while the market has kind of stopped falling after nearly getting close to about 17,300, the gap down suggests that every intraday rally or maybe even a rally on Monday, I think will face a lot of supply pressure, and the intraday charts have also turned slightly negative. So with the 200 and about 70, 80 point kind of decline which has already happened, maybe for the day the damage may not happen afresh, but I think this should call for further declines, and I think a test of 17,255, which was the low which we made on the 28th of Feb, I think looks very likely. So I think on the index, close at about 17,420, 30, which is just below the day's high. I think that's the level I would want to sell. And on the stock side, I have one buy and one sell call. ACC is something which has come down to very important support levels. There was a gap as well as a moving average and intraday retracement areas are there. So buy here with a stop at 1800 for targets of around 1890 on the upside. And Coforge, on the other hand, is breaking down after a rally, so that's a sell call. Keep a stop just around 4,200 or above it, and a target of 4,000 is what traders can look at.
All right, got that, Mitesh. Indeed, it has been a crunching fall. By the way, today's low, we're just off the low, but today's low is only 75 points away from the lowest levels that we saw in February, that mark of 17,255 that we're watching out for so carefully. Well, let's also focus on a couple of stocks. Equitas Small Finance Bank is definitely in focus. A lot of pressure on this stock. Abhishek is here to explain to us why. Abhishek?
Surbhi, Equitas holders have got the shares of Equitas Small Finance Bank, which is now available for trading. So hence you are witnessing a selling pressure in Equitas Small Finance Bank. So Equitas holders have already witnessed a 40% rise in their own holdings before, after the merger announcement has come in. So hence there is selling pressure that you are seeing in Equitas Small Finance Bank. We also have Investec note which says that a correction will provide a good entry opportunity for investors, given the fact that bank is in a strong position to deliver 25% plus CAGR in terms of loan growth and 2% plus ROA over the next 3 years. They also say that asset quality and credit costs are likely to surprise positively. So valuations are reasonable. On a price to book value, they say that 1.4 times in terms of FY24 valuation is actually on the cheaper side, and management certainty is high. So Equitas Small Finance Bank is now a $1 billion company with a 100% free float, and historically they say that they have witnessed inflection point from investors whenever a company has hit a 1 billion mark in terms of market capitalization in the BFSI space. Case in point being City Union Bank as well as Sundaram Finance. Back to you.
Okay, thanks a lot for that. So that's an Equitas Small Finance Bank. The other stock that is moving up even in a falling market is Olectra Greentech. Now it's up 2% today, but it's up 40% in 2023 already. A couple of positive updates coming through this morning as well. The Maharashtra budget has proposed a purchase of electric buses and conversion of 5,000 diesel buses to LNG run vehicles. So there's potential business for Olectra Greentech and JBM Auto. But there's also other positive news flow. Olectra Greentech told us yesterday that they are now the lowest bidder for a tender by CESL for 13,000 electric three-wheelers. The LOI is yet to be signed, but this is another potential order for them. And they're also planning some fundraising. They will be looking to do a QIP of 800 crores over the next 1 to 2 months. So that's the reason there's lots of news flow on Olectra Greentech, and that stock is bucking the trend. Let's dip into a quick break. On the other side of the break is our special segment, Indianomics. Lata will get chatting with a host of experts to talk about the rising food inflation and how the food stock and price situation looks like going ahead. Stay tuned.